let's go by the clock tonight since I'm a little slow.
7:03.
So, can we get together for call the meeting to order?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see, what should we do tonight? Let's do this. So we'll call it 7:02, and we are going to call the meeting of the Jamaica Selectboard to order on this, the 13th of February, 2017. First order of business, is there a call for any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I've got one addition.
And that would be?
A proposal from Park Electric about replacing our fluorescent light bulbs with LED light bulbs.
Okay. I'll put you on.
Okay.
Any other agendas? Any other agenda items? I think that's pretty much it. Hearing none, we shall move forward with the approval of the minutes of the January 23rd, 30th, and February 6th Select Board meetings. I think they were all passed out to everybody. Let's look at the ones from February 6th. We all had a chance to read them. It looks pretty good. This is regarding the awarding of the contract of color 48 to the Fitzpatrick Excavating for $198,843.50. For those of you who are taking notes at home, that figure is a figure that was corrected from last, because that was a math error. Our treasurer contacted the agency, discussed it with them, and they concurred that it was a mathematical error, which actually reduces it to 198. So it was in our favor, everybody agrees. So, the minutes are accurate, especially since Terry's the one who wrote the minutes, and she's the one who did the correction.
I move we accept the minutes for February 6th.
And I have a second from Alexa. Any further discussion? Hearing none, minutes are accepted as written. January the 30th. These are the minutes of the 30th of January. Again, it passed out to everyone. It shows the bids for culvert 48, and we talked about the town meeting warning.
And it shows the mistaken
It
estimate
shows
from
the
Fitzpatrick.
this is the accurate reporting of what took place that evening.
Right.
And it shows you that actually went down from 203,803 to 198,843. So we have a treasurer who knows her math. Everybody, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the January 30th meeting.
Second.
Minutes, rather.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
I'll second.
Oh, okay, good. So we have 2 seconds. A second.
You can shoot for it.
All in favor? Wait a minute, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
You should?
Yeah.
I can back up. Top backwards. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are accepted as submitted. And let's talk to the January 23rd Select Board meeting. This was the meeting we had for the garage bid opening. On the 23rd of January. It too contains the bids. We also discussed the appointment to the Planning Commission and reviewed some overweight permits, talked about the solar project. There's a number of things. You all had a chance to review them?
Yes. I move we accept those minutes for January 23rd.
Second.
I'll accept. I mean, second.
Not quite that fast in the trigger. Any second, do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the 23rd minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those carried as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's the end of those things. The next item on the business is to approve the timesheets for town office solicitors, highway, and transfer stations. We historically do that at the end of the meeting, therefore we don't, drag this out for the audience. And we'll also sign the select board orders, which is item number 4. The next item is number 5, is the report from the road foreman. Hi, road foreman. What would you like to report about?
Lot of snow.
Nothing really new. Just plowing, sanding. Had a couple of breakdowns, small stuff. We're pretty much back in business.
You guys have been busy for the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Any idea how many hours?
Too many.
A lot. I mean, I know you're going by my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm thinking,
I don't know, I think we're probably like at 35 since Saturday maybe. I don't know, something like that.
lose track after a while, you're in a daze, yeah. You know, you guys have been working very hard, I really appreciate it. I know.
Keith was saying that one of the trucks was out for the weekend,
Yeah,
and they were out with the grader, so 2 big trucks and the grader were out. Did you have the one ton up too?
Yeah, we had the one time going.
that's the one that broke?
No, it was my truck, the 2011 International.
The international broke. I heard that from people, yeah.
Is that the oldest one of the fleet?
No. It's kind of, it's been recalled, the fans explode. Oh, because they're all plastic and they're on a clutch and they don't spin constantly like a car. When it comes to heat, the fan kicks on and, a piece of the fan eventually breaks off. What happens is it usually cuts the belt off. But it is a recall, so they give you the part.
But did they give you the part for the belt?
No. You get the belt, you buy the belt, and they give you the fan, but, we've had to do it a couple times on a couple of the trucks. The only other, I had to buy 3 more sets of chains. I didn't buy as many chains this fall, because I was trying to cheat a little bit, trying to think that when we move out, I didn't want to have to move next year's inventory, but that didn't work out. So I had to get a few more chains to get us through to the middle of March or so. Drawing a blank, really. I mean, it's just,
One of the things that you and I talked about, and we should share this with the audience here, is that it is illegal in the state of Vermont to push your snow from your property across the road to public property or some other property, especially if you're leaving tracks. Is that correct?
yeah, it doesn't always happen, but when we start getting a lot of snow, it's a lot more frequent. It's hard to catch people doing it.
Sure.
The trouble is people push, instead of pushing into a driveway, because they're getting full, they'll push out and across the road into the snowbank of the town road. And what happens, like the other day, we got that wet snow. People in several spots pushed it across the road, and then it snows a little more at night, and it covers it, and you come along at 25 miles an hour and almost knock your wing off your truck because what they pushed there is frozen. You know?
And a lot of frozen stuff.
So it's, I don't care if people push it out the road, as long as they string it up and down the road into the snowbank, so you can get rid of it accordingly, but when they just leave wads, and it's starting to happen now. I'm starting to see it.
So you wouldn't mind if, when somebody pushes it out, that they actually get in the town road
Yeah.
and run it up and down? Because I know that when I was thinking about that in my own situation, I always wonder how far down the town road I should be able to go, and you don't really care.
Yeah, no, as long as you run it into the snowbank as we would, then we can keep pushing it back, but if it's a glob, it doesn't work good. And the trouble is like in a place like Mountain Acres where it happens a lot, then eventually you have to take the grader up there and push the snowbanks back because the plow guys have pushed their snow into the snowbanks, where otherwise you wouldn't have to. So that's the downside of that. We didn't see any of that last winter because there wasn't enough snow.
It's happening a lot now. I know the roads that I'm driving, some are getting a little bit of, smaller and smaller as you're
Yeah,
driving through there.
we started to wing. Richard was winging his end before this storm. But Donnie and I are both gonna have to wing our routes next week.
Yeah, the Turkey Mountain Road is getting, actually, it's nice because it's the way it used to be
It is.
30 years ago.
Right.
Speaking of winging, I know we have some issues on our sidewalks along town. I don't know if you guys have thought about trying to wing those sidewalks back a little bit?
I think
The
that's.
trouble is, we did that once, so now, when we push it back, now it's gonna go back. It's gonna go into people's yards and up against trees, like down in front of the Three Mountain Inn. Just what we did 2 weeks ago. It was a lot in the front yard.
You talk about in front of their second building.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you know, and it's all frozen, it's big,
Right.
giant chunks, it's not snow anymore.
Since this has come up, and you're here to discuss it, and you got a big piece of this, let's jump to number 8 real quick. It's on the same topic.
Just before you go,
Go-
off of the roads, if I
But
may.
the- You're going roads.
I just want
sidewalks.
to say that living out in the Netherlands as I do, that our roads this winter with all of the snow have really been good.
Good.
And you guys are out there early and we've had no problems whatsoever. And I'm here, so I wanted to let you know. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, not a problem. I'm thinking that we're talking about the sidewalks. Let's talk about the sidewalks. That's item number 8, but we can do it while you're here because this is important. I received a letter, and
We received a letter.
we all received a letter. Did I give it to you guys?
Yes.
You emailed it to us.
I did, okay, good. I also made some pass out, but that's another story. Anyway, and it's got to do specifically with
I
the
read it
snow on the
this
sidewalks.
morning.
I was hoping he would be here tonight to talk about it, but he's not here yet, so,
You said
and it's
he
quarter
was.
after. So he's talking about, in some areas, I'm reading his letter, in some areas of town, snow is pushed by the state plows into the onto the sidewalks. Between the salt and the rain, the snow becomes a sheet of ice that cannot be removed by shovel or snow blower. I think we've all experienced that. In the past, the state and town would work together to remove the snow that built up on the sidewalks and right-of-way areas used for parking along Route 30.
Can
Now-
I mention something on that?
Yeah.
Okay, I had asked Keith because I had read this,
Mhm.
and I think Keith agreed with me, or the town and the state has never taken the snow off the sidewalks, and they don't work with the town removing the snow off the sidewalks. They move it off of their part of the road, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, they've helped us, clean their right away, so there's like parking for town meeting.
Right.
And if anything was taken off of the sidewalk, it was an extra. They don't do that. I mean, they're curb to curb, that was their thing. And we don't really try and get them to help anymore because it's so hard to get them to help. I mean, they'll say, yeah, they'll do it, but, because they work so much differently than us, we're looking for this much snow to treat, and if they get just a film, you know, everyone goes, so you can plan for something for 2 weeks, but if they just get like a film of snow, everything's thrown off, because everyone goes out with salts and does their thing. So it became too hard to schedule to work with them, so we just do it in just kind of piecemeal little spots, where they used to come and we do from like the bridge to the Masonic Temple all day. They'd bring 3 or 4 trucks and their loader, and we'd have a loader. And they bring the traffic control and sign package and everything. But we don't really do that anymore. And as far as the sidewalks, if sidewalks did get done, it was probably us that did it while they were working on the right of way. Little pieces, parts of it. I mean, we can still do some of it. But the trouble is for 2 of us to be in a truck and someone to be loading, I mean, we cheat sometimes when we really shouldn't, because we could get in trouble. You need flaggers.
Mm.
You need flaggers, you need a sign package. Because I'll take someone running into the back of the loader or something, and that would be it.
So we don't have the people.
Right, I mean, I guess a few years ago, Joel Beckwith worked with us and someone else, and they flagged. But it's hard to track people down, because we kind of do that like on a moment's notice when, you know, you get that 4-hour break where you're kind of caught up. Let's go clean a piece of the streets, and then, you know, who do you call?
And you need somebody that has flagging,
Sure.
went to the
You
flagging
have to
class.
have a flagging car. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
So it's, wasn't a problem last year, this year it's a real problem because of the way the weather throws us.
Right.
So let's talk about it. One of the things, hold that thought for a second. His next paragraph said, he's asking, should the town be responsible for the removal of snow? Various sections of the sidewalk are on town property, library, town hall, historical society. During the sidewalk project, this is for you, Lou, the town used eminent domain to purchase the land required for the sidewalks. 3 Mountain Inn, Marchese, Hot Glass Works, and a few others. And it says, see Lou. Number 3, snow removal is part of the pitch for the sidewalk project. Voters have approved and a budgeted line item is earmarked for sidewalk snow removal.
Can I just say something on number 4?
Sure. Mhm.
I checked with our budgeted items, and it's just sidewalk maintenance. It doesn't actually, I mean, I'm sure it means
yeah.
sidewalk, the snow removal, but it doesn't specifically say snow removal, it's sidewalk maintenance is what it is.
Didn't we have, don't we have a person that has been doing that?
We do, but the problem is, part of which is we don't have the proper equipment to be able to move the kind of, he finished up giving up, the other night he finished up at 9 o'clock. Shortly, in fact, before he left, the state came through and filled everything he just cleaned. The machine we have, which is a fairly large and reasonable machine, can't move chunks of ice. And so it keeps breaking down. I mean, we've replaced, what, half a dozen belts so far.
It's not for commercial use, I don't
It's
believe.
just not for that. Even commercial, if it was a property that didn't involve the state coming through and putting junk on it right after. And the other part of it is, if somebody were available to go down and do it every time the snow would be one thing, but he has 2 other real jobs. So he's really, like, we're third in line of his priorities, and we appreciate, I understand that. I mean, he's young, he's got his jobs. So we really don't have the manpower, we really don't have the equipment. And then we get into the business of the money aspect. So those are 3 real problems that we have to contend with. One of the items that was not added to his list of who should be responsible, and, well, back to the next thing, and then I'll cut to you, Luke, because I want you to speak the other ones. His suggested solutions: keep it as it is, remove snow where possible as long as the current equipment can handle it. That's over. Continue to use state and town resources to remove snow and overwhelms the snow blower, and we've discussed that. Purchase sidewalk removal equipment. It's on the list of things. Do not remove any snow. And it says, do we really need to clear the sidewalk from in front of the 3 Mile Island Robinson House to the cemetery? Number 5, require abutting landowners to remove the snow. And 6, contract sidewalk snow removal. So, before we get, with that in mind, how much of what he said in those, would the town be responsible? What's your thoughts on that? Because you were involved
For
with
the
that.
eminent domain, I think I'd like that answered first. Number 2, should the town be
Yeah.
responsible? That's where we are. Number 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, well, 2 and 3 are really the same. The town, for all the town sidewalks, had to get easements for them. And we got most of the easements voluntarily, where people signed the easements. Some donated their compensation, which was allowed to them. Others took the compensation. So if you look at the people he put on there, most of those actually signed the easement on their own and either volunteered not to get compensation or not. I think there were 2 or, pardon me? I think there were maybe a couple of properties which we actually used eminent domain. It's not really called, it was called condemnation, not eminent domain, but they're similar.
But was that just to get on the property to do the work?
Well, there were a couple of properties, I think we had to actually get the extra foot we needed, because there were 4-foot sidewalks in front of their houses, and we had to get the extra foot. I think there were a couple that we had to do that. There were also the same couple we had to get what were called construction easements, which they weren't permanent, they were only during the construction period. But most of them signed voluntarily.
I thought the ones that we thought were gonna make the sidewalks bigger, that the folks complained, weren't happy with, we ended up making them smaller, narrower, because I know down
Well-
here, we made that by in front of Bishop's smaller, and in front of the Holton House,
Right.
across from my house, we made that smaller. So did we really take any?
Not very much. The ones down on Route 30, for example, down by the, between the bank building and the Masonic Temple, a lot of that, with that extra foot we needed, we actually got from the road. We didn't have to push into their property. So, most of, as I said, most of them were voluntary, but there was one or two that we actually had to do condemnation for. But to the statement that the town purchased land, that is true. We only had a couple that we needed eminent domain for. Just to answer that question. But however, the sidewalks are something that we did commit to maintaining by plowing. I mean, obviously, we found it a real challenge to do that. The ideal sidewalks are the sidewalks that we have, like from the hot glass works down to the town hall, where you have a strip of green in between the sidewalk and the town. That's the ideal way to do it. Unfortunately, our roads aren't wide enough to do that in both sides of the road. So that the other side of the road, we go right up to the curb, and that's exactly where the plows, they push it right out of the side.
Except for 3 Mountain Inn, they have some,
They have a little
there's a
island
little
there.
bit of island.
In
there.
front of their main building.
Right,
Their second building, they don't.
right.
But, it's a real challenge. I guess Keith, we talked about maybe buying a different type of equipment rather than a snow blower. Remember you were talking about the,
Yeah, it's something I
gravel
haven't,
with
I
us?
haven't chased down a solid number. I mean, I haven't really got after it because the discussion, last time I talked maybe with Paul and I said, it was, there was some talk of maybe, the thoughts of maybe contracting it to somebody. Maybe that would be, after you buy the equipment, pay somebody and try and find someone who'll do it on that kind of, on-call kind of basis. You could almost hire somebody to do it,
So
and contract like a.
Financially, it might be better to contract them out.
We had this discussion before, and we didn't want to spend the 12.5 grand on a used piece of snow blowing equipment.
In my memory, sidewalks have been a problem for many, many years. This is not new,
Right.
what we're talking about today.
No, because we started doing this not too long ago as a courtesy, basically.
Yeah,
When we
But
moved
there's
here,
always
we just walked in the road.
yeah.
well, the sidewalks that I'm most concerned about are from the country store down to the post office. I mean, I see people trying to walk that all the time.
Mhm.
Jeez. And plus, that's where the road narrows and,
We did have one guy that worked out until he had a heart attack or something, remember?
Yeah.
That guy was, he
Amos
was
Brown.
contracted, and it seemed to
And he was
work.
retired, and so that's what he did. He kept
And
up
he was
on
on it.
And he had a
Every
2
minute.
hours, he'd do like a
it.
loop.
Right.
big piece of
So
equipment,
Never got
bigger.
ahead of it.
But I think we should appreciate that on Main Street, the coffee shop, in front of the coffee shop, they always keep that clean. And I know it's a business, but they can still complain if they want. In Karen's store, they keep that all cleaned out and everything. And in front of Forrester's, I noticed somebody had snow blowed there. So I think some people are trying hard to do it on their own, where others expect us to do it, I guess, or don't care if it's done or not. I'm not sure what their answer is, but I think we should appreciate the people that do try to keep it clean.
Sure.
And we don't have an ordinance asking people to do that.
We don't.
Not
No.
aware of, yeah. Let me finish the next item on this, because we're not getting into the second paragraph, or the third paragraph. We're talking about, he said, in this year in some areas, the town opted to use either a grader or the front end loader to push the snow on a private property, rather than removing it as in past years. This action may result in possible issues: property damage to the landowner's property, salt damage to lawns and trees, damage to landscape lighting covered by the extra snow, possible flooding of basements and homes by the additional amount of snow on their property, blockage of a clear view of Route 30 traffic, by pushing the snow into large piles. The view exiting driveways are now blocked, creating extremely hazardous conditions. Now, as it happened, while he was writing this, you showed up and cleared off the last 3 or 4 complaints. But I think what it is, because he says Keith is here now, when he wrote this on Thursday, clearing some of the snow. So thank you.
But I think we ought to clarify that the town, we're not cleaning up the state's piles that they put up in front of the sidewalks of people, the driveways of people. I think it was because we were doing the sidewalks and a pile from what the road crew had done. I think that's what they removed, because in front of my driveway, I have to creep up very carefully. I can't
Sure.
call the state or the
Right.
town to say, come and clean this up. So I think, just to clarify it, it was not the state that put the extra piles near Three Mountain Inn or Robinson House, wherever it was, because it was, they were doing the sidewalks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because we can't clean
Yeah.
up after,
No, we understand. He was talking about, part of the cleanup exercise was picking up moving stuff. And then you got so far, and then apparently came back the next day to finish it. Because, again, it wasn't in response to this letter, because you were doing it, or was writing a letter. But the issue was, it takes time for you to do all that stuff when you have all the rest of the town to take care of. And so sometimes things don't go quite as quickly as we might like in the snow, but you did get to it. So now we get back to, I think, the question for the board is, do we spend the money to get the equipment and then try to find somebody to run it? Do we opt into having the community do its own work, or do we contract it out? And I can't think if there's another one that I can think of.
Is there anyone interested in bidding on it?
Yes.
we do have
Who?
somebody
Yes, we do.
who was interested.
Drew. He stopped me the other day after the second or third time it broke down. He said, why don't you just put it up to bid? And he said, I'll bid on it. And I think we have other people who do that sort of thing. That might be, we could advertise and put it out to bid. The problem is, it's like
It's a
February.
little, it's a little late this year.
Well, I don't know if it's late this year.
You
We've had
couldn't
more snow in the last
get that,
couple
you
of
couldn't
weeks.
get that, you'd
Yeah.
really,
Okay, well, let me ask a question. If we were to, let's say we got a week that we didn't have any new real big snowstorms, would that be enough time to try to, like, take the grader blade and pull it out into the road and then load it into a truck, or is that not enough time to,
The trouble is, like with doing that, is you can't tell what you're getting, whether it's with the loader or the grader. It's completely covered. I mean, down here now, there's snowbanks that are how tall? 6 feet tall. And you stick the grader blade in there, and before you know it, out comes a piece of granite.
Right.
You can't feel it, and the same way you're going along, maybe it's going good and you're getting snow, and then all of a sudden you're getting someone's lawn. And by the time you realize it, you've already taken 20 feet of sod. It's
Yeah, we had
just,
that problem last year. I think we had to repair somebody's yard.
I mean, that's the only reason I don't like to do that with the loader, because you just can't tell when after there's enough snow, what you're digging into. I mean, where there's the sidewalks are right next to the road, you can go in and like clean them off. But where a lawn borders it, or,
do you have the curbing,
I can't think of the house, right next to Andy Avery's house.
the Holton House?
Yeah, Richard went along through there and winged, and then it occurred to me, there's those granite posts. You gotta be kidding me. He didn't hit them, but that was immediately what I thought. That's stuff you forget about once.
It's covered with snow, yeah.
Right. I mean, as far as buying, let's just say you bought something that was really meant to clean sidewalks. Then you've probably got $20,000 in a machine, and you're gonna try and find someone, and it's a machine that'll do it relatively efficiently and quickly. So someone, after they got used to it, could run around the town in an hour. Where are you gonna get to run it for an hour? You know? I mean, I guess we could, but it would certainly be well after a storm. but you've got a really expensive piece of equipment, and it wouldn't be too attractive for someone to come for an hour or 2 hours every time it snowed. I mean, I don't know who you'd get.
Yeah,
Could be just twice a month or something, depending on how much snow we
yeah.
get.
What is your thoughts about the best thing to do?
Well, I mean, I would see about contracting it out. I mean, if it's ridiculous, obviously not, but if, you'd have to see, feel it out and see what people would want for it. And I mean, I'm not sure if are we just kind of talking about Main Street, or are you talking about down to the school, across the bridge, up back street?
I think we're just talking Main Street.
Well, Main
For
Street's
now.
the biggest problem, but
Right.
what are you gonna do with the sidewalks down there? We have sidewalks on
Right,
Water
while we're
Street.
down there, you're not dealing with the traffic like you are on 30.
True, but if we have somebody just doing 30, who then cleans those sidewalks? So I think it's gonna be the package. It, like you said, in order to get hours, it could take them a little while to do this one, but at least it gives them some work. Plus, there are sidewalks, kids walk to school, people walk their kids to school. So there's clearly sidewalks to be covered more than just, I mean, the immediate problems are here.
They're not.
Are there sidewalks going up Pikes Falls Road right at the?
Just
top
up to
there?
up to the Smith house,
Oh.
yeah.
Can I inject something in here?
You are?
My name is Marion Bouchard. I live above Hank and Toby's Hot Glass Works
Okay.
at 3819. I'm not speaking for Hank Schwartz, he's a big boy, he can speak for himself. But my husband and I called the town clerk this morning, and we were told that the equipment was damaged. That it had been for some time. But if I didn't like it, I could go down and shovel the sidewalk myself. So we're looking at getting a dingo from Brown Rentals.
I don't know what a dingo is.
A dingo is it's kind of like a small front bucket loader that would just do sidewalk. Just fit on a sidewalk.
Mhm.
The bucket's about 83 feet. But we desperately need to keep that clear. I do worry about Hank's mom, who is in that store, her potentially, falling, maybe getting hurt, people not being able to go into the business. I guess I'm a little unclear whether if the business whether it's his responsibility to do that piece of sidewalk in front of his business, or if that's town property.
This is
Well,
a question
actually, that's
that I
a-
mean,
That's what I don't
Maybe-
understand, and I would just like some clarification, because, I mean,
We've been talking about the sidewalks from, on the other side of the street. Those are the ones that the state pushes. I'm not quite sure why our worker has not been doing this side of the road, because that side of the road has a big, 5-foot strip of green space between the sidewalk.
I mean, this side,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think the reason why, he starts at the bridge, and he breaks it,
Before it gets there.
essentially.
Oh.
And that's where the snow is the heaviest on that side of the road, because the sidewalk borders is right on the road.
I think the first thing we ought to do is see if maybe, without going to an RFP, if we can get Drew Emmett to at least clear this side of the road.
Well, there's other, I mean, Drew's a good choice, but there are others.
Well, I
We should at
understand,
least
but we don't have
explore.
time to go for an
Right.
RFP.
We could make like 3 calls or something like that.
Dan?
So just so I'm clear for when people do call,
Yeah.
is it the town's responsibility or is it up to the
It's-
property owner?
Right now, it's,
We committed to clearing the sidewalks for the sidewalks that were paid for by the grant,
To maintain them,
right? Which is including the sidewalks that she's got.
right,
The
anything that's
sidewalks on the
no.
other side of the road from the church up to they're not paid for by the grant, so we don't have that commitment.
From the church way.
Up to the bridge.
Right in town.
from the church, right, up
To
to
the
the
post
up to the
office
post
side.
office.
Those
Those
are
aren't
old-
brand new, those are old sidewalks.
Those are the old sidewalks, I hear you.
Right,
But those are the ones we're clearing and breaking the machine on.
That's right.
right.
But those are the ones that are used actually most by people, because
Going to the post
going to
office.
the post office.
But I also think too, in front of Hank and Tobin's, the snow probably comes off the roof too, and lands there too, so it makes
On that
a
new
lot of-
sidewalk that we're supposed to maintain.
Right,
But,
I mean,
but
it's-
that sidewalk is actually about 5 feet away from the building. However, when the snow comes off, it doesn't just fall directly down, it does.
I think that we should talk to Drew first, we can ask some other people, see what kind of equipment, how quick they could get those cleaned up before we get more snow. I mean,
Okay, well, I can think of.
one town meeting, I don't know who did it, I don't know how many years ago it was, but there were bucket loaders out here, they had to take the snow and move it, and they hauled it down my way.
that was just
And got
before
rid
town
of it.
meeting. The town does that, just before town meeting, to
Right.
make parking
there was-
available for
So they could
people that
walk
come
on
to
the
town
sidewalks
meeting.
by the church. I
Right.
mean, it was an ordeal, but half a day or something.
Otherwise, if there's a lot of snow, there's no parking.
But if you're taking a bucket down on brand new sidewalks, the
Yeah.
plows, I mean, they're bound to hit them anyway. They're gonna take some hits. But there's no way that those are gonna get clear unless somebody's got the equipment to do them.
Mhm, and the time.
Like a bunch of guys.
Is there any way to ask Drew Amadon as an emergency issue, and then when the season is over, send out RFPs?
But we should, I'd like to know price too, a rough
Well, he'd
cost too.
probably give us one.
Well, let me explore it. I can think of at least one other guy who does it,
Mhm.
so we can at least have some competition, because I don't
Right.
wanna, I mean, I like Drew, but we as a board can't
Right.
bless somebody.
If there's somebody else in
annoy
town
somebody.
that has equipment that can do
Exactly.
it.
It's
So
gonna
let me
be
make
a
some
couple
phone calls.
bucks.
Hmm?
It's gonna cost a little bit.
Right, but we should know what it is before we just say,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
do it, and then they charge us, and we give a $5,000-$10,000 bill.
And we also should recognize that starting now is a whole lot bigger problem than if they started at the beginning of the year and maintained it.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
that's something else we have
We
to.
have town meeting coming up in 3 weeks too. so.
Sure. Okay, well, let's.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
That maybe, knowing our sentiments, if we authorize the chair to look into this, and if it sounds like the price is reasonable, then, or maybe he could even email that, something to us, and authorize him to go ahead and do something in an emergency?
Right, to let us know what the cost is gonna be, who we contacted.
Yeah.
And how quick
Maybe
they
it is
can
an
do it.
emergency.
We have
It
provisions
is.
within the procurement policy for emergencies, so that would be within our. I'll look into it, and I'll get on it.
Do we need a vote on that?
If Paul says we have,
I think the procurement policy has.
has an
We're
emergency
okay.
section,
Yeah, for emergencies, and the way it is right now, it's an emergency. Yeah,
keep us informed, but I think you should make the decision
sure.
with a little bit of.
Okay, so that was a letter. You brought something up that I think we should probably, it's not on the agenda, but since you're here, you brought it up, let me throw this out. There's a problem with putting your trash bins on that sidewalk, because it blocks the sidewalk, even if we had the snow cleared, it'd be a block. So keep that in mind too, because that constitutes a bit of an issue as well. But I know there's no place to put them right now. I understand that, but just so you understand that that's an issue as well.
Absolutely, and I can call my trash
Yeah.
pickup company, and I can tell them that, to actually move it behind the fence.
Sure,
You
yeah.
know, whatever.
But just understand that we do recognize that the sidewalk issue is a big one, and that's a problem, we're gonna go ahead and address that, and that'll help out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned, I'm not that
Yeah.
concerned about my trash getting picked up, I'm more concerned about somebody falling and getting hurt.
Well, and if they have to go out of the sidewalk because the trash, that constitutes the same kind of thing with too much snow. So I think we're all working together on this, and I will get on it tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Sure. We jumped ahead a little bit, but Mr. Road Foreman, sir, do you have anything else you want to add? No? Listen,
I've got one thing I'd like to mention, but I'll finish this out.
yeah, I live on a road that you guys maintain, and I know at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard the truck going by. You guys are working your butt off. And I'm not sure people who are in the outlying areas fully appreciate how much territory you cover, and that you're up at ungodly hours and working to get this stuff done. So for me, I want to thank you publicly. You guys are doing a great job. All of you guys are doing a great job. So thank you very much.
I hear them go, they wake me up at 3 o'clock.
No, I was wondering if there's any quieter plows.
No, I don't want to hear quiet applause, because then I
Looks
know
like it's coming right in my
done.
bedroom.
I'm just kidding.
Don't you have like 80 miles?
No.
How many miles do you have?
How many?
That's about right, yeah.
40?
60 something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
That's a lot of miles.
Let's see, 60 miles times a foot of snow, that's a lot of work to be done.
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah, I've got a very quick question, Keith. What's the status of clearing out the building and getting ready for tearing that thing down? Do you think we're gonna be able to get that done before beginning of April?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how the winter ends. You know? I mean, if the winter ends like it's ended the past few years, we'll definitely be out of there by the 1st of April, but if it lingers and stuff.
Lots
which
of
I hope it
times.
doesn't.
Second week of April,
Yeah,
still
well-
plowing.
You could be.
I mean, we could, with like, 3 extra people, we could move out of there in a day. You know, if it came to that, like if we
You
could
might
just.
think of, would you let us know if that's something you're gonna need us to help you with?
Mhm.
We could maybe
Hire some people.
hire some people to
Yeah,
do that.
Mhm.
or, we could go to corrections and have a man come up.
Well, that's good, because they'd be covered by workers' comp, yeah.
Yeah.
We moved before it snowed in the fall. We got a lot of stuff out of there, but there's, stuff you need during the winter that we just couldn't take out.
you have any more for transfer station?
Any more what?
Stuff.
Oh, yeah, there'll be quite a bit of throwaway stuff.
Okay, because
Maybe we should have a
maybe
garage
we
sale.
need, maybe we need to coordinate. Right?
It's mostly like junk metal, worn out tire chain, a lot of metal,
Okay.
and there's nothing really that would be like, we wouldn't fill a box.
You wouldn't fill a
No,
box.
no. It's just odds and ends.
Okay, sir,
Thank you.
go get some sleep.
Thanks, Keith.
More snow's
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you very much.
What a wet blanket.
One of the next item is discuss whose budget pays for the school plowing and mowing. Now, kind of hoping Laura would be here, but let me present her position. We talked last year about covering the plowing and the mowing for the school because it hadn't been on any of our budgets. We started looking through the minutes. Do you remember that, Lexa? What's your memory on that?
Vague,
Sure, it's
Very-
as good as ever,
very vague.
but we did talk.
We did
about doing
talk about it, but I
we
don't
didn't
know
plan
if
for
we
the
ever,
next year.
right, we never came
Yeah.
to a, we didn't come to a,
We covered it for that
Conclusion.
period, but we never
Right.
discussed, nor do we enter the minutes going forward. So there we are. They didn't put it in their budget. We didn't have it in our budget, yet we have snow to be moved. And so there lies the crux of this. Do we, as a town, pay for the mowing and the plowing?
Who does the plowing now?
Brian, I think.
Who's doing it?
Brian,
Brian?
Does Brian
For the
still do
school?
it?
it looked like you got
Does he
another
still-
truck, but I
Brian
think it's
Chapin
out.
still does that. I think maybe since we didn't come to a final conclusion and we always paid for the school, when the Act 60 came through, before the school had its own budget, took care of everything. And then when the Act 60 came and things had to be changed, and so they put some stuff, the town took over some stuff, had to do with a lot of financial things for the school. So we took over that part of it, and they made it a community center too, so that helped
Justified.
justify that. So I think since we didn't tell them that we were gonna pay for it or not pay for it, and it just sort of, I think maybe we should pay for it for this year, but they don't have it in their budget for next year either.
Neither do we, yeah.
I know this, you have to talk to Terry because she knows more about it than I do, but the school or the supervisory union, they do have a budget of X amount of dollars. I don't know how much it is. I think it's quite a bit. Maybe they could take that out of there. So maybe somebody should talk with Laura and find out what that, it's not a surplus, but it's money for stuff like that, I believe, or maybe not. And then we can decide, are we gonna pay for it, or are they gonna pay for it? And then see what happens.
Yeah, the
'Cause
global
we'll
concept
probably
here
take care
is,
of it for this year.
we could do that, but the global concept is the citizens of Jamaica are paying million and change to the school system every
Right.
year. That in theory encompasses the management of the school system, as well as their facilities. To come back to say, well, that wasn't enough, we want you to pay for the plowing, may just seem a little,
So I think we ought to check with Terry, she can check with
Get
the
the numbers.
supervisory or with Laura Hazard and see what that fund is. Do you remember what she called it?
I think it's just the extra, it's like the surplus.
It's like a surplus, but I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but they do have money that I think would take care of it.
Yeah, they didn't vote to put it in any fund, so it's kind of just sitting there.
Just sitting there.
In a bank account. I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
Is that the
They have-
one called checking?
What's the approximate cost per year of that, do you know?
The plowing,
Yeah.
and the mowing,
I'm thinking about the
50.
plowing for the moment.
just the
5 grand or
plowing,
something.
maybe, I would say $1,000.
Oh, it's not like 10,000.
Oh, no, no.
15,000.
No,
It's pretty cheap.
I'd say we can find some money in our budget for the rest of this year
I think so.
to deal with it.
The problem though is, don't we vote on that budget come 3 weeks from now? So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
has to
this-
go
this budget.
into their budget.
well,
Their budget's already been,
See, the problem is all of the budgets have been done.
right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so-
That maybe, what do we do with starting the school year next year?
Well, that's what we're gonna have to find out, an
Right.
answer from
Yeah.
Laura Hazard, where this money is, where the supervisory union has it for Jamaica, or Jamaica just, is it in the Jamaica account? I don't know. But we have to find out more information
All
regarding
right,
that.
so I will talk to Laura about this. The question then becomes, one of the agencies is gonna squeeze this money out of an undefined fund, whether it's them or us,
Right,
but we need to define it.
Any discussions that I was in on over the years, we talked about it, and my vague recollection is, we thought we shouldn't have to pay for it, but we never did anything about it. We
right.
never came to any solution.
That
We
sounds
talked
about
about
right.
it, but
I
we
think
didn't.
you're right.
Check with Terry what they call that fund and where it is and
All
how
right.
much money is in it.
I'll talk to Terry and I'll talk to Laura, and what we will do is we agree to pay for it now,
So
for the
we'll have to
remainder of
finish
this
it.
calendar year.
Right. Which is
No,
June.
no, this school year,
Which is June, right,
right?
We're gonna pay for the plowing for the rest of this winter.
right.
Yeah, pay for the plowing, and we've already agreed to pay for last year's mowing, and we're going to include mowing as well. So we paid for last year's mowing as well.
So when they start mowing,
We need to make a definitive
right,
budget item. Somebody, either we make it or they make it, covering plowing and mowing.
right.
And that, they and us have to decide what it's coming out of. But we will, once again, pay for it for the remainder of the school year. The remainder of this budget year, goes to the end of 30th of June, right?
Right.
All right, so I would entertain a motion for someone to suggest that we once again pay for the mowing and plowing for the school to complete the calendar year
17.
16 to 17.
I'll make
Did that make
motion.
sense, what I just said?
Yeah, I'll
No.
make that motion.
Can you make sense out of it, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move that.
You move that we're gonna let her make sense of what I just said.
No.
Like, that's the way I finally
We'll
do
move that,
it.
whatever she makes out of it, I move.
Second,
Oh,
Second.
Lord. I have a movement of
There's a
sorts,
second.
and the second of that sort of movement. Do I have any more discussion?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm gonna vote no, just so it puts a thought in our minds that we don't wanna do it the
Mhm.
next year. I mean, I don't wanna. but
Sure. I think
That's all I
the
have to
point.
say.
Well said. So, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
3 ayes, and do I hear a no?
No.
And 1 no. So the movement passes. and I think the caveat expressed is a good one. Okay. Does that make sense now? Okay, we'll talk.
Hopefully.
I said motion that the town pays for the mowing and plowing for the school for the remainder of the 2016-17 year.
Oh, good for
Is
you.
that okay?
That sounds much better than what I said.
All right.
Okay. All right. Item number 7. I told you that we had 3 liquor licenses renewals, and actually we got one more today, so we'll include them all. If you don't mind, we have one for the Muleman's Crafts and Drafts. We have one for the Rossonville Marketplace. And we have one for Honey Pie Restaurant. They're in Rossonville.
Is that a current, do they currently have a liquor license?
I think so, we gave them one already.
I think we gave one last
So
year.
a year's gone by
Yeah.
already,
Time flies when you're having fun.
when you're signing liquor licenses.
That could be having fun.
It's a class 2, isn't it?
I believe,
Three Mountain Inn probably has a first class,
one.
and this one is B&K's.
first class for,
There's also an outdoor consumption permit with the honey pie one, so you need to sign both of those.
Oh, really? I didn't look through the whole package.
There's an extra page, so don't
There's honey
forget
pie.
to sign that one too.
Newman's,
I
Rossonville,
think you have to sign both.
B&K's.
I got the honey pie.
Oh, there, you have two different.
First
ones.
class license.
Oh, first class?
First class restaurant bar license.
Oh, so they serve hard liquor then?
They want the license for it.
Oh, I thought it was just
Whether they
beer
sell it or
and
not.
wine they were selling.
Is there a second one underneath?
First class for,
What did they have?
I almost think they had a second class one last year, but
That's what I
I don't see it here. Is this all together?
Yeah, she was saying that there's a second one. That must be,
There's,
there's 2 checks. Yeah.
there's one for 20 and one for 115. This might be the
The
outside
20
permit.
is for the outside consumption permit, and then the 115 is for the.
Okay.
and I'll see.
Do we know what class they had?
It says it right on the top, it
I
should say
can
right
look
on
it
the top.
up, but,
Yeah.
I mean, these come directly from the state, so this is what the state.
Usually tells you right at the top what, if it's
This is what they want, is it, what, it's first class license.
first class.
But that includes hard liquor, I mean. alcohol.
Bar license to sell malt and vinous beverages.
That's
But
the
it
second.
says first class bar license,
Yeah, that's different than beer and wine.
but then it says liquor license on top, but.
Well, they're all liquor license,
Maybe they have plans for,
but the liquor license is beer, wine, whatever, you
Right.
know, liquor is liquor.
yeah. I think that, I'm not aware of any complaints about any of these establishments that would suggest that we would not be in favor of these.
I make a motion that we sign
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion?
Is it just for all of them?
For all, yeah,
the.
she said all of
Yes,
them.
all of them.
Yep. Okay, all hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, all 4 of them pass. And so what we'll do is we'll cycle them through here with everybody, because it requires a signature of
Well,
all.
everybody, right.
Yeah, so we all have to sign. Okay, so then the next item, you see, that was licenses. Discuss the easement for the new garage project loop.
Okay, I sent a copy of the easement that we discussed in the past to our attorney, Paul Gillies, and he made a very minor suggestion. Other than that, he said everything passes muster, so I don't know if you want me to give you a new copy of it.
Can you tell us what the change was?
Sure. If you look at the second paragraph, it says, being an interest in the same land. He thought it made sense to be consistent, is about halfway down, it says, being more specifically described as an interest So as an interest was inserted in there, just to be consistent with the first sentence.
Oh, okay, so we're talking,
So the
yeah,
first sentence and the second sentence are consistent.
I got you.
So other than that, he made no other suggestions. The only thing that needs to be refined is the size of the rectangle, and I'm working with Beck Engineering. If you look at the third paragraph down, it says, prepared by records at slide, and then it's left blank. Beck Engineering is preparing a Mylar for us
Okay,
to have on file at the town records.
and that would be slide whatever they tell us.
And right, and then, I haven't got the exact dimensions of the rectangle yet, so I'm getting those. So the size of the rectangle and the width of the area is a little bit different, but than what it's on here. But other than that, it's legally sound.
Okay. So, do we sign this now, or wait till you get the numbers tighter?
I think we can authorize, well, actually, there is no signature. This is an easement that they're granting to us,
So,
so we don't sign it.
They sign it, right.
so we agree with it as
We
written?
have to agree
Right.
to it as worded.
Mhm.
So we can agree to that tonight with them knowing that the dimensions
Sure.
will change.
And those are little technical changes, we're not talking about major changes anyway.
Correct.
Gotcha.
You want a motion on that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the easement for the town garage, leach field on the property named in the easement. Chavez and Abrams.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a second?
I'm trying to avoid being the seconder, so. It's only because I'm working on this, so I'm trying to stay kind of far back.
Recruise yourself. I'm done hearing a second.
I'll second it,
Comfortable with seconding?
kinda.
I have a second. Is there any further discussion, perhaps?
Yes.
There we go.
I have some concerns about the easement.
Then we should go into executive session to address those.
Okay.
Oh,
It's-
okay, so
it's
let's
a
put them
com-
off till the last, we'll just slide this to the end, just prior to the adjournment, we'll do an executive session on this contractual issue.
Sounds good.
Okay. Alrighty. So, then, time for public concerns. We've been abandoned by the public. Apparently, we're doing such a good job that there is no public concerns.
We have an LED.
Huh?
Oh, we have this other thing that I added to the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
To the
We had
last
something about,
motion,
yes,
just-
I didn't write it all away. Yeah. This is regarding a bid to upgrade the electrical parts.
Yeah, I hesitate to call it a bid, it's a proposal. I call it a proposal. The fire department asked Chris Clark to work with them on a combination of a grant application from, I guess it's, what's the name of it?
It's not a great, it's Vermont Efficiency
Vermont Efficiency.
is what it is.
To replace their fluorescent fixtures with LED fixtures in bulbs. And I guess they saved a significant amount of money, or they expect to save a significant amount of money with electric costs. And the nice thing is that the Efficiency Vermont pays for what looks like about 2/3 or 3/4 of the cost. I don't have the numbers from the fire
Because
department.
the fire department was, the cost of the bulbs or lights were $64 a piece, and the rebate was $60 on each one of them. So they got 42 of them.
So,
it's
yeah,
quite
and
a
then they
savings.
still have to pay for the labor on
They
top.
paid for the labor, and that was $480, so it ended up being like $6-something for the lights and the labor.
Yeah, and they expect to save that in electricity very quickly.
Yeah.
Efficiency Vermont is done a lot of these things, and they do a real good job of making it affordable to replace their their bulbs.
And I think it only goes until,
That's where we got the owner's attention.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyways, Chris came by and asked if it would be a good idea for him to do a similar kind of thing with the town offices. And I said, yeah, sure, we'd love to be able to see what we can get here. So he came up with a proposal to do that. The cost of the hardware, which is the fixtures and the bulbs, was about $2,232. The labor cost was about $480. The total cost of the project would be $2,766. We would get a rebate from Efficiency Vermont of $1,860. So the total amount to the town would be about $906 to do the town offices. So I don't know how our procurement policy works here, but I think this is a little bit different than normal in that basically what Chris did was do all the research in order not just to do the work for the project, but to do all the research in coming up with a proposal. So I don't know what our purchasing policy is, but I think we should take his proposal. I guess I would move that we accept Chris's proposal at a cost of $906 to the town.
I second it.
Further discussion? Do we have any sense of how much we're gonna save?
I don't have any.
you mean for yearly costs?
Just you.
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
depending how.
I mean, we don't know what the
You-
cost is.
Depending how much you use your lights, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I think there's a significant amount of savings.
Yeah. I know the fire department, I think, the pretty huge rebates, $60 on a $64 bulb or whatever it is. So,
And certainly there's a saving to the town, but there's also ecological value to doing it.
good. And my thinking is that this is an opportunity, we don't know how much longer
I
Efficiency
think it's
Vermont's
till
gonna be
July.
doing this.
It might say in their form, I think it was till July, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, those things don't go forever.
You mean the rebate?
The
or
rebate.
whatever?
Mhm.
Yeah, June 30th, yeah. It has to be done between January 1st and June 30th.
Right, that's why we got on it on the fire department.
Yeah. Any further discussion? I believe that the procurement policy allows for this sort of procedure. Any other discussion? Hearing none, do all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Who seconded it, by the way?
I think I
Okay. All right. Yep, you all set? She did, okay, good. So we're all set then. Okay, in that case, I need a motion that we go to executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual issues. Do I have a motion to that? effect?
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any discussion about this? None? So we will do that. We will, all in favor say aye?
Wait a minute, before we do this is when we discuss a contractual issue, I think we're supposed to
You're supposed to have that.
do the
little-
first motion too.
Huh?
There's supposed to be two motions according to
Yes.
our attorney. First motion, I think, is something to the effect of, it's in the,
I'm
will be
looking-
detrimental to
Written
the
down.
town.
I'm looking for it, Lou.
If this is
It's a little
discussed in,
Oh, yeah, that big long,
We have to do it.
I just read
Okay.
just 2 days ago about how to do this. And it says nothing about that.
Well, this came from our lawyer.
I know.
It said, motion made that the board finds that the general public knowledge will place the municipality or person involved at a substantial disadvantage if the matters are discussed in public. That's the first motion.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
And then the second one is a request to enter into executive session for the purpose of,
A contractual issue.
Which is the first motion. All in favor of the first motion that defines the issue as being detriment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The second motion is, do we now wish to go to executive session? I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will now enter into the executive session at 2 minutes after 8. And that frees up the camera guys.
No, it doesn't, because if we
It's
come out of
gonna be-
executive session, we may have to put this on record, so.
There may be action taken.
Oh, for
Maybe some action.
Okay, sorry about that, camera guy.
Okay.
Make yourself comfortable. We are back from executive session, and it is now 24 and a half minutes after 8.
25.
All right, 25 minutes after 8. I would entertain a motion.
Do we already have a motion?
Yes, it just sort of,
Oh, yeah, that's
We had to
right.
go,
But then the discussion, we want to go into executive session.
right.
but a motion had been made and
And
seconded.
It had been made and seconded.
And then there was some,
The motion, just to remind everybody, we're talking about the acceptance of the easement deed for the adjacent property to the new town garage. All in favor of accepting the easement deed, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hearing 3 ayes and a no, it passes 3 to 1.
Actually, it's kind of a negative thing. Anybody who opposed? No.
That's true. 2 no's make a
Say
yes.
That's what I was thinking. So you voted for?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none at 26 minutes after 8, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, camera guy.
Thanks, Nolan.
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 Nolan, the camera guy.